Well, glory be, mercy be. We've done it yet again. Here we are, walking through the graveyard. Today's video, so I've been seeing what's trending on the Twitters and the social medias, is the idea that Russia is going to invade Ukraine at any moment. Everyone, go crazy for the idea that Russia is going to invade Ukraine. That's why we need to increase funding to fight the Russians, who are definitely 100% going to invade Ukraine. So this narrative is complete bullshit, right? Which is, what we've come to expect from the capitalist death cult at this point. I think at this stage in the game, if you are actually genuinely believing that Russia is going to invade Ukraine anytime soon, that you are living in a fantasy world. Yeah, one of these nice little fantasy worlds. Just how, like, Juan Guaido is the real president of Venezuela. Like, these sort of mythical narratives that we've erected here in the West about what's going on in the actual world, while the people who are actually going through the crisis, who are actually existing, are like, that's obviously fake. So here I am to smash apart that narrative and to actually create a narrative that makes sense, right? So our story begins. 2014, the democratically elected leadership of Ukraine is overthrown in a coup, right? The Western allies and the Americans call this a revolution, right? Oh, we got rid of the evil dictator and put in the person who does what we say, right? The classical American line, like they've done throughout the Middle East this whole time, throughout South America this whole time. Well, they're also doing it in Ukraine. Starting in 2014, they overthrow the leadership, democratically elected, definitely a leftist. The guy was literally a stand-up comedian. Right? It's actually a really charming and fun story if you look into it. And he gets overthrown by U.S. imperialism, as one does, and they install a far-right, neo-fascist style leadership in place, and they begin funneling money into Ukraine, funding literal Nazi groups like the Azov Battalion, right? How do we know they've done this? Because the Azov Battalion brags about it, and they talk about it pretty openly on social media. Of course, Canada is completely implicated in this. We literally have documents of the military saying, boy, I hope the Canadian citizens don't find out that we've been training neo-Nazi groups in Ukraine, right? Why? So why have they been doing this, right? The narrative, of course, is that, oh, Russia, it's moving troops. It's gearing up to invade Ukraine and all this. Well, no. The reason why the Russians are moving troops is to counter the insurgent of neo-Nazi terrorist organizations that are operating within the Ukrainian-Russian border, right? What's the goal here from the empire? As always, the goal is about staunching trade with China, right? The connective tissue of the Belt and Road Initiative, which is the method by which China trades with Europe, runs from Moscow to Minsk in Belarus, right? What the Americans want to do is they want to disrupt the rail between Moscow and Minsk, because that's what connects into Europe. Because the Americans are deathly afraid of the reality that the entire world is shifting its economy, and the number one trading partner in the world is becoming not America, but China. And if Europe pivots over to China, America's influence in the rest of the world will become negligible, will become not very important, right? That it's diminishing in power, and so what it is doing is what it has always done, which has led to this failure moment, because it can't think of anything else to do. It doesn't understand how to act peacefully. It doesn't understand how to treat other nations and other people and other races like peers, right? The American ideology has always been manifest destiny, we're the best, we're the supremacists who happen to be white. You have to do what we say or we will destroy and control you, right? Can't negotiate in a win-win diplomatic kind of way. Can't encourage other people to improve. Can't help other people improve. No, everything is about invasion, coups, overthrow, domination, and control. This is how America communicates. It doesn't know how to not communicate that way, and it isn't any different in Ukraine. This narrative that is coming out of the death cult, that it is in fact Russia that is building up forces in order to invade Ukraine, is childish. You have to be a child to believe it. All you have to do is look at the history of America, even in a cursory glance. Literally just read the cliff notes of American domination and imperialism, and you will put together, oh yeah, they overthrew the Ukrainian government so that they could send terrorist organizations, neo-Nazi organizations, into Russia in order to disrupt the Belt and Road Initiative so that they can maintain control of trade in Europe, so that they can maintain those alliances, and Europe won't pivot to China. It is obviously going to fail. I have heard people argue that it is fine that Canada and the United States funds and arms neo-Nazi groups because they're the fodder to go against Putin's regime of dark control and all of this. And don't get me wrong, like, Putin's not the greatest guy in the world. I'm not defending Putin. But here's where this becomes delusional, right? We have tried this in the past, this idea that, oh, it is acceptable to fund far-right terrorist organizations. It is fine to fund rebellious internal cells and all of this kind of stuff because they do our bidding. Well, how did that work out on 9/11? How did that work out on September 11th, right? Well, what happened there was that we funded a far-right organization who then, in turn, did what they wanted with the money and arms and training that we gave them. And what did they want to do? They wanted to blow up the Twin Towers. So when we're funding literal neo-Nazi organizations throughout Ukraine, we are merely pretending as though we will be able to control them. We are merely pretending as though everything will be stable and they will constantly do what we want them to do. We are merely pretending like that is the case. Oh guys, I got a good doggy right here. How you doing, bud? How you doing? Good to see you, bud. I gotta get going. Oh, now we're friends. Now we're friends. Right? It's just like that, eh? It's so easy to make friends. All you gotta do is show a little kindness, right? And everybody wants to be your friend. And we seem to have missed that here in North America. We seem to have missed the reality that all you got to do is be friends for a second. Just a little pat, little easy thing. And this is how we're being defeated here in North America. We're being defeated with kindness. We're being defeated with negotiation. We're being defeated with trade. And the only way that we know how to fight back is with war. That's how we operate, that's how we communicate, that's how we talk about it. And it is backfiring, as it always has backfired. It doesn't work, you see. If you foment a coup and put in far-right neo-Nazi groups, well, don't be too surprised when those far-right neo-Nazi groups start acting like neo-Nazis and pursuing neo-Nazi agendas. And what's extra hilarious in the case of America is that these far-right Nazi groups, the Azov Battalion, are now communicating with far-right Nazi groups in America itself and are creating solidarity groups and are helping train and fund neo-Nazi groups in America, which then in turn allows the Biden administration to pass legislation in order to root those neo-Nazi groups out of the culture that exist because of the funding that it's providing in Ukraine in the first place. This is the self-licking ice cream cone that you hear about in conversation sometimes, right? Solving a problem that you create. That if you wanted to stop the existence of neo-Nazi groups within your own culture, the first thing to do is to stop funding neo-Nazi groups in other people's country. We don't have control of war. We don't have control of the force of war. And if we open up the door to these forces, they will blow back on us, like they did on September 11th, like they have throughout American history. And if we just continue pretending as though that isn't the case, we will continue to be victimized by it. The reality is that Russia has the right to defend itself. It has the right to defend itself, and this narrative that is going around saying that they're doing this to invade Ukraine. Time to grow up, kids. Time to grow up. All right, that'll be the end of this video. Holy cow. The snow! The snow! Oh my God. Always remember, guys, you are a quantum being walking around in quantum energy. These billionaires are spending hundreds of billions of dollars to make sure you don't realize it, because then you'll be easier to enslave. Like, share, subscribe, send the video around. If you don't, YouTube doesn't, right? It's up to you. Share it or no one sees it. We got to support leftist voices, guys, or else it'll literally be just the neo-fascists and the conservatives talking to each other at the table. No thanks. Rebel, revolt, repent. Good luck. We're gonna need it.